YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And today, I'm going over my 15 best moves of the NFL offseason so far. A lot of good moves here, but 15 that really are easily the best in my opinion, the ones that really stand out. I'm going to break them down. We're going to go from 15 to 1. A lot of teams doing good things. We're going to have videos like this, best move, worst moves, winners, who got a lot better, maybe some post-free agency playoff predictions, and all kinds of NFL draft coverage. No one covers the NFL like the Goat House. We got 2 channels. Please subscribe to both. A lot of grades on trades, signings, and more to come. Like I said, you'll find a link down below for everything you need, including our Twitter, breaking news, instant reactions, always talking football and answering any questions. It's a must follow. And then something new going on here. We got 5 episodes out, so I guess not so new at this point, but the Goat House podcast. You'll find a link down below. Spotify and Apple, really enjoying making that with the fellas. Number 15 on the list, best moves of the offseason. We're going to go with the Titans. This is a little bit of a wild card because some people, even Titans fans, not happy about this, but I think it's the right move. Signing Ryan Tannehill, but mainly tagging Derrick Henry was the right choice. You know, there was talk about tagging Tannehill, signing Henry, and there's some Titans fans that, love their Derrick Henry, as they should. And there's people out there, how could you do this? How could you not do the opposite? I think it was the right move, and it's really, free agency's been kind of dead recently. The first couple days were hot. And now you really have some time to think and see what you really like, and this is one of those moves that I like more and more. I'm a huge Derrick Henry fan, maybe one of the few people that had Derrick Henry above Zeke on my board in that draft class. And at this time, here we are in 2020, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Still both great running backs like I expected. So I'm a big Derrick Henry fan, and he was the best back in football last year, in my opinion. And this is where people get confused. He has earned money. He has earned to be the highest paid running back. He has earned it. But that doesn't mean a team has to give it to him. That doesn't mean a team should even give it to him. People kind of confuse those things. If he's earned it, the team has to give it to him. I disagree with that statement. Running backs just all of a sudden fall apart. Extending a running back is always a bad decision, it seems like. It really is. It's just the position. The value of the position isn't super high. To the Titans it is, but isn't super high, and dishing out money to a running back isn't a great move in a lot of people's mind. But do I think Derrick Henry's going to fall apart all of a sudden? Again, I like Derrick Henry. Don't think he will. They kind of limited him early in his career. It was kind of like, all right, this guy's an up-and-comer. We're not using him fully yet. So I think he's got a lot of play, top-tier play left in him. So I'm fine with signing Henry long-term, but signing Tannehill and choosing to tag Henry, and the tag was going to be around $12 million. This new CBA made that drop a little bit. So, this is only a bad move if he sits out. And I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to do that. We're going to wait and see. But I think it was the right move, and some people may disagree with me. I think it was the right move. If he's still at the same tier or where he was, the same level of talent where he was last year, then you can extend him. I wouldn't do it for super long, but this was a smart decision, a business decision for the Titans, and that's what it's all about here. Number 14 on my countdown here. Speaking of the Titans, this one kind of a bad one for the Titans, but the Broncos make their way on the list at number 14, trading a 7th-round pick for Jarrell Casey, an all-pro type player, a Pro Bowl level player on the defensive line, can play multiple positions and gets interior pressure, which everyone knows that is key. It's rare, it's key. The Broncos have a long list of free agents on the defensive line, and what do they go and do? They go and trade a 7th-round pick for a guy that, he earns a bit of money, but really it's going to be cheaper than signing a Shelby Harris or Derek Wolfe or DJ Reader, who they missed out on. And I think that gives you flexibility to even bring one of those guys. Currently at this time, they haven't re-signed one of their defense linemen, but I think they can still get one back to pair with Casey. I think you can almost pair anybody with Casey along the lines. They have other guys like to step up as well. Just way under his value for a 7th-round pick. Yeah, he's somewhat aging. Just trying to split hairs here, trying to find flaws, but it's all positive here. Like I said, cheap in terms of the pick, almost seems cheap compared to the free agents out there. They don't want to overspend, fills a need, makes them better on the D-line. That's a great move for the Broncos, and they come in at number 14 on my top 15 best moves of the offseason list. Number 13 is going to be the Raiders signing Corey Littleton, linebacker from the Rams, at the 3-year, $36 million. I thought he would get more than that. I thought he would kind of get close to yeah, even pushing 14 million. This guy is on the rise. He's getting better and better each year. Try to find a flaw in his game. The only flaw is really not a flaw in his game. It's kind of a guy that wasn't highly, thought of out of college. He wasn't supposed to be anything special. And so that's kind of a flaw to some front offices sometimes that kind of just sticks in their head. We didn't have a good evaluation of this guy. He's not good. That'd be false here. This guy's started as a special teamer, still very young, has improved. Really every category of linebacker. I mean, he's just as good in coverage as he is in stopping the run. He's pretty rangy. The only question is not a flaw. Only question is, going from a 3-4 to a 4-3. If the Raiders do indeed decide to keep the 4-3, which I expect them to do, how will he transition? Slight, very very slight chance he can't. I think it's all positives here. Obviously, on my top 15 list, I think it's a good deal. 3 year, $36 million. I thought a team like the Giants would pay him more. I think that a team like the Packers would pay him around this, maybe even a tiny bit more, and that would be maybe a more appealing spot. Even though the Raiders really building it up in Las Vegas now, very appealing team. Everyone wants to play for that staff. The Raiders get a big one here with Corey Littleton, number 13 on my list. Number 12 on the best moves of the offseason so far list is going to be the Niners. This one, another one of those that I'm kind of sitting here thinking, this one's really growing on me. I mean, I liked it from the start, but really growing on me. Choosing Armstead over DeForest Buckner. Limited cap space, which is fine. The Niners are limited cap space. They were just in the Super Bowl. They built a well-rounded team, maybe the most well-rounded team in all of football. So that makes sense. All of it makes sense. They're limited on cap. They have to pretty much choose between the two because Buckner needs a contract extension very soon. He kind of wants one right now, gets paid a lot of money. And then Armstead is a free agent, and he just had a career year. Both these guys are absolute studs. They're beasts. Buckner would be great for the Colts. It's a huge upgrade. But choosing Armstead was 100% the correct decision. Why? It's because the scheme of the defense. They run a Leo defense. They got Nick Bosa as an edge rusher, hand in the dirt on the line on one side. D Ford, even though he's not, Bosa's clearly better, but D Ford is kind of the key to what sets this defense up. When they traded for him, he's able to play almost as a 3-4 outside linebacker, while Bosa's almost as a 4-3 end. D Ford's off the ball, so you really want more of a pass rusher in front of D Ford, a guy that's kind of a defensive end / defensive tackle hybrid. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Armstead, exactly what he is. He's so in that position is so important. It's rare to find more of them. It's a young guy that's on the rise. Buckner is a very good D tackle. Can they replace him? It's hard to replace that exact talent, but you can find another player that can play that position, especially around that other talent, play it at a pretty high level. On top of that, making the right decision, you give Armstead a very team-friendly contract, I think. It's pretty high price, but I would have paid more for him. It's a rare player. I would have paid more from another team. Maybe some team did offer. And on top of that, you add the 13th overall pick. It's not every day you see a team that just was in the Super Bowl with the 13th overall pick on top of having their own pick. They were a little limited in picks behind that, and now you have 2 first-round picks. They're going to come away with 2 first-rounders or trade back and gain more picks throughout the draft. Genius, absolutely genius. Number 12 on my best moves list. Number 11 is going to be the Bears trading for Nick Foles. They trade a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles. A lot of people bashing it because Nick Foles, kind of jumping around teams now, only one with the Eagles. I think he's had good years besides that. Really, the only flaw here to me is, I guess the injury concern. Hasn't really played a full season, so there is a slight injury concern. Nothing tells me this guy's going to step in here and get hurt, so nothing's telling me that. I also think what's not fair, a couple things aren't fair here when people are ripping this deal. I think judging him off last season, I've talked about this before, he got hurt week 1, was thrown back into a bad situation too early, was still hurt. And then the play calling was predictable, basic, didn't like it. So I'm not judging them off that year. And I think people are judging the Bears off their pass moves, which, they're pretty bad. Drafting Trubisky in general, trading up one spot, and now having to trade for a pricey quarterback makes, I don't judge it off that. That's in the past. I'm judging off this trade alone and who they acquired. I like Nick Foles a lot in Matt Nagy's offense. It's going to be similar what he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. You look back at the season, last season, why Trubisky wasn't working, why the play calling was brutal, why they ran a lot of screen passes. It's because, the quarterback play limited the play calling, the playbook. It really, really did. You can see first half of the season, they wanted to run a lot of RPO. Trubisky couldn't read ends and outside linebackers. They had to stop doing it. They couldn't do much. There was no big playability downfield. Nick Foles, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Just the RPO. He's going to bring more than that, but the RPO game is going to be so much better. I think it'll be an unpredictable offense. The idea of Nick Foles on the Bears, if healthy, is fantastic. I think 4th-round pick, definitely doable. Yeah, the Bears are limited on picks, but, I mean, that's a good deal for me. Essentially, it's a 1-year deal as well. If you look at the layout of the contract, they restructured the contract as well, so it's going to be a little bit cheaper. Overall, the Bears got a lot better. The Bears got a lot better. They are more of a threat in the NFC North. I think this is a great deal. Again, at the end of the day, they got a lot better at the most important position in football and where they had a need. So they're at 11. Number 10, it's going to be the Falcons getting Todd Gurley, 1 year, $5 million. Yeah, Gurley might have the injury concern, arthritis in his knees. That's a little scary. He's still a really good running back. He was the best in football a couple years ago. Is he the best in football right now? I'm going to say no, but I don't think he's far off. They have an improving offensive line because they drafted 2 guys in the first round last year. They're going to get healthier this year. So the offensive line will be better than where it was last couple years, better than where the Rams were last year. It was one of the worst in football. Bottom line is you get a solid running back that you desperately needed. 1 year, $5 million, low risk, high reward, kind of a tryout this year. The Falcons were limited in cap. This is a move they needed to make here, and it was worth doing in my opinion. I think they get better with this. They knew that they had to get pass rush because that's one of the more important things in football. But they know that their key to winning right now is offense. When you have Matt Ryan, when you have Julio Jones, other pieces, the key is make the offense as good as it can be. And you make it better with the low-risk, high-reward deal here, 1 year, $5 million. Todd Gurley, number 10 on the list with the Atlanta Falcons. Coming at number 9 on my countdown is the Chargers signing Chris Harris Jr., a veteran corner, a well-known corner, can play at a high level in really outside slot and safety. I think they're going to use him outside, kind of the last piece to the puzzle to this fantastic Chargers secondary. I've been talking about this team. It's a big need to have, but they need a quarterback and they need maybe a left tackle. This team can compete. And why do I say that? The weapons on offense, but mainly the defense. I like Gus Bradley's defense a whole bunch. Every level of it I like, and the secondary is looking like one of the best in all of football, if not the best. 2 years, $17 million, can get up to $20 million, but the base deal is $17 million, which is, you would have to think he was getting a lot more money than this. Offers, I should say. You would have. I mean, we heard going into free agency he was going to get close to $14 million a year. And he signed a 2 year, $17 million deal to play with really good defense. So this is a steal. It's a really good deal. They get better with this. He's getting up there in age. I still think, to me, I like the, not like super old, but I like the veteran corners. It takes some time for these guys to get where they need to be that impactful. So I like this a lot. It's a big-time deal for the Chargers and Chris Harris. At number 8 on the best moves of the offseason, it's going to be the Buccaneers keeping a guy here. Jason Pierre-Paul, just love this contract. 2 year, $27 million, $13.5 million per year. Are you kidding me? Like pass rushers, what they're getting today. I think this would have been a good deal if it was $16 million a year. He missed some time last year. It was a little bit of a concern. How's he going to come back with that injury? They just switched to a 3-4. How's he going to be? He looked fantastic, absolutely fantastic in that defense. It's a good fit, especially with the rest of that linebacker unit, including Barrett, Levante David, Devin White. I think it's a good group. I like that they keep the guys. You kind of can add Shaq Barrett into this number 8 too. Franchising him was the right move. Signing Jason Pierre-Paul to what I think is a steal of a deal here. And yeah, still crazy. I thought another team would give him more money. Maybe they offered it to him. Maybe he wanted to stay here, but it happened pretty quickly. So very interesting one. It's, I love the deal so much that in terms of maybe my favorite signings, it's definitely up there. It's not a huge addition, impactful one because he was already on the team. So maybe that's why it's number 8, not number top 5. But I obviously you can tell I still love the signing, love the contract. Number 7 on the countdown list is the Ravens trading a 5th-round pick for Calais Campbell, which is an absolute steal. They got that 5th-round pick from the Vikings, trading a backup kicker that they were never going to use. They had no interest in using. So they get a free 5th-round pick, turn it into Calais Campbell, who is a Pro Bowl level defensive lineman. I mean, the guy can play D end in either scheme. He can play D tackle in any scheme. He's not going to play nose tackle. But in this Ravens scheme, he's going to play 3-4 end. So making it number 7 is, first off, it's because, they traded for less than his value. 5th round, they got Calais Campbell, well-known guy. He's going to fit there. He can fit any scheme. He's going to be good. But another thing that's kind of the top or the adds on top of that is the Ravens always have a really good defense. I love Don Martindale, love his defense. One of the best blitzing defenses. He hasn't really got a tremendous amount of pressure from the edge position because it's basically been Matthew Judon there only. Then blitzing from the inside, they generate a lot of pressure, a lot of unexpected pressure. For their 3 defensive linemen, really no pressure. It's been run stopping, no pressure, and now you finally get a guy in there that's going to give you, he can stop the run, and he's going to get pressure. So a big addition to this Ravens defense as a whole, and that's kind of what makes it number 7 here, easily inside the top 10 of one of the best moves here from this offseason so far. Coming in at number 6 is going to be Bills getting Quinton Jefferson. This is one of my favorite signings, sneaky good signings. Looking at the deal, like the contract itself, love it. Again, maybe not as impactful because he's Quinton Jefferson. He's not, some of these other huge names. So maybe that's what's keeping it from being number 1, why it's number 6. But I love this one. I talked about Quinton Jefferson a lot in videos leading up to free agency. I knew whoever got him was probably going to get a pretty friendly deal, and this guy has a pretty big impact. I am shocked that the Seahawks couldn't get him back, especially for this price, 2-year, $13.5 million. He was so important to that defense last year. The guy played nose tackle. He played 3 technique. He played defensive end because the Seahawks were short on defensive ends. He generated pressure from all of those spots. He's a guy on the rise, a guy that's really improving. And then the Bills, they lose Jordan Phillips, who got a lot of money. They gain Quinton Jefferson. I think Quinton Jefferson's better. He can do more. The Bills are more pass rush away from being the best and most elite defense in football, perhaps. They still need to do a little more work there, but adding Quinton Jefferson gives you a unique type of pressure. I would have paid a lot more for Quinton Jefferson if I was a GM of a team that I don't even know if I had a big need there. I still probably would have done it, because he fills a lot of positions, and even if I paid more than 2-year, $13.5 million, it's still going to be somewhat cheap. So, I mean, this is one of my favorite. I think the best moves, kind of going into the most impactful moves, are a little different than my favorite moves. I think Quinton Jefferson, it's arguably my favorite move of the offseason. Looking at pretty much everything I explained. So this was an epic steal for the Bills. Number 6 on my countdown. We'll see number 5 right here. We're getting into the big top 5 here. Number 5 is going to be Teddy Bridgewater to the Panthers. Big Teddy Bridgewater fan. Have been a fan of him since Louisville. The guy is very, very accurate. One of the more accurate quarterbacks I've ever seen. And then people kind of knock him because he doesn't have the huge, the big playability. I think he has it in him. He can, I think people will start to factor in that he got hurt. Does he want to move around as much? Maybe not as much, but he can and still will, and he can make some dangerous throws on the run. Dangerous meaning good, dangerous for the defense. So I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's getting better. He's young. He's still almost new, fresh to this. He's learned from different quarterbacks, being with the Vikings, but mainly being with the Saints under their coaching tree that they had, and then Drew Brees, of course. And that's great. He's still getting better. 3 years, $63 million. What is that? 20, just over $21 million maybe per year. I think that's a really, look at Phillip Rivers, got $25 million. Look what the quarterbacks are getting these days. Look what the franchise tag's paying. It's paying around $27 million. That is a great deal for a quarterback that's, it's not taking a rookie, but I don't think it's far off, in terms of how young he is or where he's at in terms of how fresh he is. But at the same time, he's already learned. He's already proved that he can play. And on top of all that, it's a tremendous fit. Joe Brady was with the Saints. That helps a little bit. I think that's where everyone's focus is. With Joe Brady was with the Saints. He knows Teddy Bridgewater. And that's a great thing. That's a good thing. But Joe Brady learned a lot of pro style there with the Saints. He didn't call the pro style offense. When he went to LSU, he brought more of his philosophy, kind of a multiple scheme, throwing a little spread looks in there, and that's exactly what Matt Rule is involved in the offense and defense, and he's a very good motivator, very good, recruiter, and that involves the NFL too, not just college. And they want to run a multiple scheme, which is a mixture of pro style and spread offense. And it's just Teddy Bridgewater to me is just so perfect for that because he's more than just a pocket passer, a pro style quarterback. He's still this young quarterback that can fit a little bit of a college look, a spread offense. And I think him with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, guys like that, I think it's perfect. He makes them better right now than I thought maybe the Panthers would be. They could struggle at first a little bit just because we still have a lot of offseason to go just because they have some holes still. But Teddy Bridgewater, with the fits, with this offense, the coaching staff, with the players they have in there, makes this team a lot better, and they're going to win games because of it. So, love the deal, love the fit here, love the potential of Teddy Bridgewater. That's number 5. We're getting into the top 4. Number 4 is going to be the Dolphins signing Kyle Van Noy from the Patriots, 4-year, $51 million. I love the contract. I talked about it, leading up to free agency. I like Kyle Van Noy a lot. I was going to like whoever signed him, as long as the deal was somewhat team friendly, and this is very, very team friendly. Just over $12 million per year. Why is that friendly? Is because this guy's an off the ball linebacker and he's an edge rusher. He's both. He has experience winning. He has experience basically running a defense in what it was a hard responsibility for him, for the linebackers, Van Noy and Hightower. And so if you want to mark him as just a pass rusher, just over $12 million, that's a cheap deal. You see what the good pass rushers are getting? They're getting way north of that. If you want to mark him as an off-the-ball linebacker, covering a lot of ground, playing a lot of the 2 linebacker sets that the Patriots had, he's worth more than that. So I think somehow the Dolphins got a really cheap deal. Maybe Brian Flores being there, it's an appealing spot, nice place to play. They're a team on the rise, so that could be all factored in. This guy's a leader on this defense. He will do so much. I think he fits. We know he fits. Brian Flores' defense. You look at what I think people are too focused on stats too. You look at the Patriots defense this year. Yeah, statistically, this was maybe one of their best year. I think they were better the year they won the Super Bowl. Why? You look at the defensive play throughout the playoffs really won them playoff games and won the Super Bowl. And Kyle Van Noy is a key piece to that defense, that Brian Flores defense, that was the defense coordinator when he was there, and now he gets his key piece. He gets it back. So, this was a need because it's such an important piece in that defense, and it was a steal of a contract, and they get a lot better with this. There's some people just out there saying, well, he's left the Patriots, he's not going to be good anymore. I just think that's so false, and I think that's really lazy to say for people there. I think he's a heck of a football player, and he's going to be a good captain in this defense as well. Great deal. Number 4 on my best moves list. Run of the top 3. Number 3 is going to be the Bills pop up again, trading picks. They traded a bit of picks. They traded their first round pick, kind of a haul, you may like to call it. But they trade for Stephon Diggs, the Vikings wide receiver, and I think that's what he was worth. I definitely think that's what he was worth. And there's too many people kind of comparing the Hopkins deal with it's 2 different teams, totally different circumstances, and Diggs may have more value than other receivers because he's still young. He's 26. He's getting better and better each year. You could argue he's the best route runner in football, and then all of that, and the Vikings kind of just didn't really take shots downfield too much. When they did, it seemed to work, and they kind of went away from it, and that's why I think Diggs was kind of upset mainly. But then they ran the ball an insane amount. And then you look at what Josh Allen and the Bills want to do. His mentality, he's a gunslinger. He wants to throw the ball downfield. He wants the big playability. They're going to throw the ball downfield more. It doesn't always have to be downfield either, but they want to do it more than a lot of teams. And Diggs is going to like that. Diggs is going to like that. It's going to fit right in. And he happens to be arguably the best deep ball receiver in football right now. I think it's mainly because of how he gains separation so fast and how he gets downfield so fast. So what I'm getting to, still the upside of Diggs and how he fits this offense, I think he will be a top 5 wide receiver this year and going forward. I really think so. As long as nothing stupid happens. The only downside to him is, maybe he's a little bit of a diva. What's going to happen there? I'm not too worried. He also has a friendly contract. Throw that into the trade too, what they had to give up. A team-friendly contract. So I like Diggs, really top 5 receiver in this offense in the NFL. Going forward, if we're talking about Diggs as an elite, calling him an elite wide receiver, maybe 2 years from now, I would not be shocked. I think it's very possible. They traded away picks. A lot of picks, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I hate when people say You know, for this example, there's some people that will say, and I like the Diggs trade, obviously, but some people will say Diggs is more proven and better right now than who they would have got at 22 anyways. That you can't, I hate when people say that. You can't say that because everybody, Diggs was a 5th round pick at one point. Everybody was a draft pick at one point. Everybody that's great comes from the draft. These guys aren't dropping from the sky. You get better, you win by drafting right. So I don't think that's fair to say. But I still rather have Diggs in this case than a rookie because he's still very young. He's still improving. He checks all the boxes to where he has his strengths, and it shows me that he's going to continue to get better, and he fits this offense so much better. So I would prefer Diggs for those reasons over maybe the draft pick because the draft pick's not proven. That's not a valid argument, but for the reasons I explained, that's why I'd rather have Diggs. And there's some really good receivers they can grab there too, so don't get me wrong there, but they get a lot better at this. And like I said, my vision is Stephon Diggs, a top 5 wide receiver with the Buffalo Bills as early as 2020 season right here coming up. So that's why Diggs and the Bills are at number 3. Number 2 is going to be the Buccaneers show up again. We see the Bills come up twice. We see the Buccaneers come up twice. They get Tom Brady, the GOAT. 2-year, $50 million, could reach up, from my understanding, to $59 million, around that range. But base deal, 2-year, $50 million. Phillip Rivers got 25 a year. That's what Tom Brady gets. To me, he's still playing at a high level, and he still can play at a high level, higher than last year, I think. He's not the Tom Brady from maybe 3 years ago even, but people, I think, ripping a little too hard. People say he's completely declined, completely fell off. You look at last year's Patriots team, that roster was not good. It was, and I shouldn't say not good. It wasn't anywhere near to where it was. I think the Buccaneers roster is better than the Patriots roster last year. I really do. What the Patriots had going for them was their coaching staff and their ridiculous secondary. But Bruce Arians is a hell of a coach. He knows what he's doing. And this is, I think, it's a team-friendly deal. It's Tom Brady. He instantly makes the Buccaneers better. I'm not one of those people that rip Jameis Winston. A lot of people like to rip him. Yeah, you can't throw 30 interceptions, but and I was a believer in Jameis Winston, but Tom Brady makes this team better right now amongst the rest of the team kind of growing at the same time. I think receivers like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are absolutely perfect to have for Tom Brady. I think Godwin's really going to be his favorite target all over the field. This is an offense, a team that's going to win right now because of the signing, and they're going to be a contender. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl right now, but it's very possible because what they've done here. And they have a plan, and I like the plan very much. So, for obvious reasons, this is top tier on my list here, number 2. And number 1 is a very obvious one. It's the Cardinals stealing, I should say, DeAndre Hopkins, arguably the best wide receiver in all of football, from the Texans. On top of that, to add on, well, let me explain that first. They trade way less than his value. I heard there was, as free agency's opening up, I heard rumors early in the morning that the Cardinals, or that the Texans really could trade DeAndre Hopkins. And I'm just saying, people are bored. BS, like all these other BS rumors. I can sit here and list a bunch of them that end up being BS, but not buying it. And then it happens. I'm like, wow, can't believe that was true. I'm like, well, yeah, that's a tough loss to the Texans, but they're going to get this 8th overall pick, and they're going to get a big-time receiver with that, and they're going to add the other needs, the other picks. They did not get the 8th overall pick, not even close, really, to that value. They did get a 2nd-round pick, but that's not close in my opinion. And then DeAndre Hopkins being the best receiver in football, arguably, I don't think there's anybody out there that says he's below top 3. So we'll call, even though I think he's the best right now, some guys can compete for that spot, but we'll call him the 3rd best. This is still a great deal. On top of that, the Cardinals receiver position, more important to them than anyone else. They run more receiver sets, less tight end sets than anybody in football. You want a bunch of top tier receivers. You get the definition of a top tier receiver with Larry Fitzgerald, with Christian Kirk, with I'm excited to see a guy like Hakeem Butler play if he can get on the field. Isabella possibly. There's other guys they got that can play, and they add him in there with it, and then add other needs in free agency, limiting their needs, their big needs, which is a good thing, and then still having the 8th overall pick, which you kind of can get a big-time need right there in an impact player. So everything checks off, and then on top of that, you add into getting rid of the David Johnson contract, which they wanted to get rid of. You couldn't cut him. It wasn't a possibility. It was a possibility if you want to lose money, but they had to trade him, and then they happened to – I thought it was going to be a win for them if they can trade him and gain a 6th-round pick. But that was a win. There were some people that thought they would have to give up a pick. I didn't think that was going to happen, but have to give up a pick, maybe a 7th, and trade him for somebody to take him. I didn't think that was realistic, but there was people that, smart people that thought that for a reason. And they get rid of David Johnson's contract because they have Kenyon Drake, a couple other guys could draft somebody. They don't have a whole bunch of needs now, and they gain arguably the best wide receiver in football while doing it to a very, very important position. DeAndre Hopkins is a do-it-all receiver. There's not a flaw to his game. Everything, every category of the receiver, it's there. I also like to add on top of that I call him somewhat of a bailout receiver at times, which I think are rare today. There's only so many of them. A bailout receiver, if it's 4th down, if it's 3rd down, the quarterback makes a mistake, maybe it's 1st down, throws the ball up. Not the best throw. He can bail out his quarterback. Kyler Murray is not a quarterback you're going to have to bail out a whole bunch, but he can get a little crazy rolling outside the pocket and launching the ball. It's what he's good at, honestly. But having DeAndre Hopkins there is a big-time positive, and this team got a lot better with just this move. And among having others, they got a ton better. And that could be a scary team, and it starts with this move here. So that's my top 15. Again, a ton of good deals after this. There's other teams that got better with deals, everywhere. So these are the 15 that really stand out to me. Let me know your guys' thoughts. We're going to do more videos like this, a lot of draft videos coming out. We have a recent mock draft. I've graded all the signings on this channel. I grade all the trades on our Goat House Plus channels. A link in the description for everything you need, including that Twitter page, which is constant football. Every single day. That's a must follow. If you don't have a Twitter, I recommend you make one. If you like the NFL, football in general, the GOAT House, follow that Twitter. Would really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching. Again, click that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would love to see it for this type of video. One of my favorite videos ever made. I really enjoyed making this one. It was a lot of fun. So thanks for watching. That's going to do it. Goodbye.